Hi, I'm Tina Stasiak. I'd like to talk to you today about children in foster care with a focus on ACEs and the social learning theory of Albert Bandura. So some definitions. Who are children in care? These are children in foster care. In the United States in 2014, there were 3.2 million reports of child abuse. Of these reports, 702,000 children were found to be abused. 1,580 children died in 2014 as a result of abuse or neglect. Children in foster care often experience adverse childhood experiences, we call them ACEs, due to caregiver dysfunction resulting in removal from their home. And what are ACEs? ACEs is an acronym for adverse childhood experiences. These adverse experiences are stressors that have short-term and lifelong complications to social, physical, psychological, and spiritual coping. So, let's talk about the effects of ACEs and foster care placement. First, there's the physical effects. Stress hormones are released when children are stressed. They have somatic issues and often suffer from perpetuating effects of health-harming behaviors. Psychologically, these children lose their primary attachments. They often develop externalizing behaviors such as bullying, violence, abuse, and internalizing behaviors such as depression and anxiety. Socially, they are often prone to social exclusion and repeated patterns of abuse in interpersonal relationships. Spiritually, they find it difficult to trust and make attachments, making integration into the church body difficult. Purvis, Cross, and Sunshine in 2007 said formerly neglected and abused children are predisposed to such problems as attachment difficulties, conduct disorder, depression, anxiety, attention deficits, learning disabilities, and more. So I'd like to introduce you to Albert Bandura and his theory of social or observational learning. Bandura hypothesized that contrary to popular experiential learning theories at the time, people can and do learn through observation and modeling. Bandura's theory of social learning involves the choosing of models through exposure and retention and the achievement of imitating the model or ideal towards self-efficacy. Bandura showed through his famous Bobo doll experiment that children will emulate aggressive actions. So what is modeling? According to Bandura's theory, models are learning examples or ideals. Models represent ideals in their characteristics or actions. In the absence of positive role models, people are more likely to imitate the person they see as important or maybe even powerful, and that's Kale and Kavanaugh 2019. The powerful position of abusers can prove to be a strong model for children who feel powerless to change their situation. The more prominent the influence of the model, the more likely these model behaviors will be copied through attentional and retentional processes. Research by Stith et al. Showed that abusive parents might have aggressive children, and many men who beat their wives had a wife-battering father. And that's Myers and DeWall, 2015. So let's talk about self-efficacy. In Bandura's social learning theory, self-efficacy is attained by the successful imitation of the model selected. The attainment of the goal of imitation of the model is appraised through cognitive self-awareness. Goal systems gain motivating power through self-evaluative and self-efficacy mechanisms activated by cognitive comparisons. And that's Bandura and Chervon, 1983. So now we can move to healing through social learning. Just as modeling and observational learning created problems in coping and behaviors for the child, so too can these same processes help the child to heal from painful past and choose more appropriate and healthful models in their future. These children need the presence of adults who emulate health and positive coping strategies. In a study on resiliency, Bellis et al. In 2017 found that the presence of a positive, supportive, always available adult dramatically reduced the impacts of childhood adversity on mental well-being. Modeling and mentorship, forming connections, and offering support are positive aspects of both faith and psychology. So let's talk about hope in these therapies and faith. There are a myriad of psychological treatments that provide vehicles for recovery from exposure to ACEs in children in care. Each unique child in care develops different coping mechanisms, often dysfunctional, and the variety of therapies speaks to addressing painful psychological dysfunctions such as depression, which affects 3 times more children than their peers. Therapy programs such as System of Care focusing on alleviating depressive symptoms with an efficacy of 46%, and that's by Stoner, Leon, and Fuller. Purvis, Cross, and Sunshine's focus on connections with caregivers, and their program is called Empowered to Connect. And cognitive behavioral therapies with focus on mindful awareness on the connection between thoughts, beliefs, and actions. There are other therapies, and it's really exciting to see all the research that's being done to help these children. Professional interactions creates a safe place for children to seek healing, establish goals, and create motivation towards their own healing. Positive and compassionate interactions between children and professionals can model appropriate examples of healthy adult behavior. So I want to go over a biblical response to children in care, to suffering, and to adverse childhood experiences, and modeling appropriate behaviors. On some level, children in care must find the motivation to get well through appropriate exposure to appropriate models. This echoes Jesus' words to the paralytic man in John 5:6. Do you want to be made well? Allender, in 2016, stated that kindness is the instrument God uses to open the heart and begin its renovation, transforming fear, hardness, cruelty, and despair. Therapists who utilize faithful integration of theology, psychology, shine the light of Jesus' healing ministry through accountability, as seen in John 5:6, the alleviation of suffering in Matthew 25:31-40, and loving interactions in Matthew 22:37-40. Entwistle in 2015 stated that embodied integration is seen best when we minister God's redemptive grace to those around us and live in ways that please God. So now I'd like to introduce you to a former foster child, my daughter. She came home when she was 8. She is now in university in Korea. That is her when she was baptized. And you can see that she has positive interactions with her birth family, with family, and even great experiences through adoption and healing. She took cognitive behavioral therapy. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. It's been a pleasure to be in class with you, and prayers for your future vocations. Thank you.